We've seen thousands of years of human invention. But how does our generation measure up to the geniuses of the past? To find out, I've challenged a team of top engineers to recreate the machines that changed history.
Are you ready to see what challenge awaits you this week?
Yep. First, they must rebuild each one, using only the original materials.
I really think we're going to struggle with this one.
Then use their 21st century knowledge to try and improve on them.
I think this kicks ass.
When they're put to the test, will they have upgraded a masterpiece, or will they have bitten off more than they can chew?
It's complete evil warfare.
It's present versus past, and the reputation of modern-day man and woman is at stake.
I think we can beat the ancestors and have fun getting there.
This is my build HQ. I've got a stockpile of traditional materials and a workshop full of all the tools imaginable, waiting to be used to remake a machine from the past. This week we're playing with fire. In fact, it's scarier than that. The team are building the first weapon of mass destruction. It didn't wreak havoc on the land, so they're gonna have to put the water wings on. But this machine was no joke. If it hadn't been invented, a whole empire would have crumbled. The year is 678 AD, and the once mighty Byzantine Empire has been besieged in its capital, Constantinople, for 4 years. 2/3 of their territory has been overrun, and the rise of the Muslim Empire has changed the power balance in the region. The Byzantines were fighting for their very survival, knowing that if Constantinople fell, so would the empire. The Byzantines had to come up with something special, and boy did they. A flame-throwing boat capable of dousing enemy fleets with unquenchable, sticky fire. The secret behind it was a strange, inflammable liquid that, legend has it, could even burn on water. When the weapon was released on the unsuspecting enemy, it turned the tide of the war and destroyed the armada besieging the city. In fact, it was so successful that it re-established the Byzantines as a force to be reckoned with. The empire went on to survive for another 800 years. Here at Build HQ, I'm challenging my team of experts not only to rebuild that deadly flame-throwing boat, but also to improve on it, all in just 3 days. The team are hugely experienced in modern engineering, but they all have at least one foot in the past.
Let's have a go.
Jamie's been working on steam engines since he was 9.
Building a Greek fireboat. Scared, truthfully.
Long ways if possible.
While special effects expert Claire prides herself on keeping up with, if not beating, the boys.
I'm nervous. And the only aim of it is death, basically.
It's not aggressive enough, is it?
Hollywood prop maker and military buff Matt will feel right at home here.
It's a bit war-y, a bit military. I'm liking it, I'm excited.
Carpenter Chris's training in the shipyards should come in very handy.
The obvious danger is burning. The secondary danger is drowning. You know, they're two of the biggest dangers you can get in life, and we're going to do them both at once.
And for blacksmith Owen, this should be a busman's holiday.
This week's challenge is almost perfect. It's a pyromaniac blacksmith's dream, to be quite honest, for making a flamethrower.
All right, team. A little bit nervous, excited?
Both. We'll just face the challenge as it comes, I suppose.
The blueprint is in the workshop. Go for it.
Right then, let's have a look at this drawing.
What we got?
I've given them a blueprint based on the Byzantines' original design. The team need to figure out how the ancient machine worked so they can match it and eventually beat it.
So what's happening here? We've got, that's a fire.
Yeah.
It's an open fire, looking at that,
Yep.
which is controlled by some bellows. That's all understandable. We've got a vat of oil, a pump that's forcing air into it, so it's positively pressured. This looks like a straightforward way to do something.
But it looks like there's a massive vat of burning oil right
No,
now.
it's not burning here. It's just nicely, safely under pressure. It's only burning at this end.
Right, can I just stop you there? There is no such thing in this world as safely under pressure.
That can explode, basically.
That is a bomb.
Righto.
That's a bomb.
All right, I'm willing to be overruled. Let's get rid of that. Let's do something a bit safer.
This is how it works. A wooden warship powered by slave oarsmen, onto which the Byzantines mounted a sealed vat of ancient napalm, known as Greek fire. The vat was heated from below. And at the same time, it was pressurized from above using air pumps. When the enemy was in range, a valve was turned to release the high-pressure boiling contents. And like a murderous dragon, fiery death jetted from the vessel. So the team will need to build a boat, their own equivalent of Greek fire, a vessel to heat it in, a pump to squirt it, and a gun to shoot it from.
If the fuel that we make is sticky, if that sticks, if we get a little bit of it on us, or it gets a little bit on the boat and it sticks to things, the whole lot will go up with us on it. So I'm getting a little bit concerned about that front.
How are we doing, team?
So what does the team have planned?
Scary?
Yeah, this is.
In parts.
Scary good.
Scary good.
That, gone.
All right, hold on.
dangerous.
What was clever about the ancestors then? You know, before you throw it out, what was clever about what they did?
I don't think they were clever. I personally think they were bloody mad.
That they can persuade people to stand next to that thing and use it is pretty clever.
The team jump in with their first improvement. They're going to make it safer. That bomb-like pressurized vat has to go. But how else can they improve on it?
When it comes to your weaponry, because this is very special, isn't it, how it actually works, what are you doing?
We had two ideas. We can either go with a piston pump, which can squirt the oil,
Squirty.
or we can go for a rotary pump.
Going to get the range?
Yeah, I'm proof. Personally,
I think
pretty sure
we
we'll
get
the
range with either of those. If we
Either
do a
of
good
them,
job
yeah.
of it, definitely.
Chris, you think about changing the boat, don't you?
I think we should build a catamaran that is basically paddle steamer powered.
Pedalo.
So you got it manoeuvrable. What about the fuel?
I think I'm going to have a go at that, have a bit of fun.
We'll be here tomorrow and there'll be a boom and there'll just be this roof disappearing into the sky.
I think we can beat the ancestors and have fun getting there, to be quite honest. This is cool.
I'm loving that optimism at this stage, but you've only got 3 days. Best crack on.
Rightio.
The team are already deviating from the ancestors by turning the flame-throwing ship into a flame-throwing pedalo, which admittedly may not fill the enemy with dread, but is actually quite an astute move.
Okay.
It's simple to build and should be very stable. But is it really a step up from the ancestors' traditional construction?
Craft-wise, that's 5 meters there. Does that look like people are far enough away from the dangerous end?
We're never going to be completely safe on a 5 metre long boat with a flamethrower that can throw flames that are longer than 7 metres, are
You
we?
ain't going to be safe on it anyway.
We are sitting here, paddling like...
Okay, you've got your boiler could be towards the front.
So we've got a barrel sticking up in the air like that.
And we're spitting fire out of that
We're
door.
spitting fire out the
There we
end of
are.
this, and we're hitting those gates.
Does that all look roughly like it might come together?
Makes sense to me.
Let's do something more 3D then than this.
Yeah,
Great.
make something work.
This week, the team's challenge is to build a machine that changed naval warfare forever, the Byzantine fireboat. Born out of necessity, this weapon not only rescued the city of Constantinople, but saved an empire. But can our team come up with a design that doesn't just match the ancestors, but beats them? Halfway through day one, and they've already started trying to improve on the original flame-throwing boat.
So we basically need an on-off switch, don't we? So what's that going to be?
Essentially something like that. And that
Matt
can
and
take-
Chris
that can
have
take-
deviated most from the original design. They've swapped the Byzantine single-hulled vessel for a catamaran. The twin hulls provide a very stable platform.
I'm seeing that with like battens, with bits of wood to mould the shape, and then we need to cover that somehow to keep the water out.
The next radical departure from the original is the propulsion system. They've opted for a pedalo. Incredibly, the first reference to a paddle-powered boat was in 1492 in a drawing by Leonardo da Vinci. It wasn't until the 18th century that an eccentric professor from Cambridge, Roger Long, actually built one.
And if we stick our paddle wheels on the end, like that, we've got a lot of manoeuvrability at around 1 point. I think we're going to be at a turn, as they say, on a sixpence.
Yeah.
Owen starts working on the basic frame for the gun.
We're making a WMD. It's pretty hardcore.
I'm making the oil container. It's basically a metre high tank that will hold the oil that we're going to pump through our machine.
Chris and Matt get to work on the hulls. The beauty of the catamaran design is its simplicity. 2 hulls supporting a platform.
I say we build a load of these, get them together as a skeleton, and then we'll decide on the top, on the front and back.
The frame for the hulls are being cut out of plywood. Plywood was around long before the Byzantines. Archaeologists have found traces of plywood in the tombs of the Egyptian pharaohs, and the Romans often used ply for their shields.
Ta-da. We have created the hull.
The concept behind Owen's gun is simple. Keep the dangerous end as far away as possible. To help achieve this, he's welding together a 3-meter frame, which he can then lay copper pipe along, connecting the nozzle to the fuel. Considering historians believe that the ancestors could only shoot 7 meters, he's almost halfway to beating them.
The pump's all on me, really. Without the pump, we won't be squirting any fire. No, tomorrow dinner time, we'll be laughing.
On the original flame-throwing boat, air was pumped into a container to create pressure, which would then fire the fuel out of the gun when released. This would deliver a prolonged squirt. The team have rejected this idea. Instead, Jamie has opted for a rotary pump, which works on a completely different principle. The pedals power an impeller, which spins within the body of the pump, like a sealed fan, sucking the fuel into the pump with each rotation and forcing it out of the business end of the machine. It has a huge advantage, as it can provide a continuous stream of deadly fuel. Jamie's first job is to construct the pump body that the impeller will sit in. He's beveling the edges to make sure that the weld takes when he adds the top and bottom plates. It'll take him a while to get the pump sorted, so I'm off to do a little bit of first-hand research. By the 6th century, the Byzantines had been systematically losing territory throughout their empire. But it was the rise of the Islamic Empire that posed the greatest threat. They found themselves besieged in their capital. I've come to the British Museum, home of the UK's largest collection of Byzantine artifacts, to meet historian David Nichol.
Only 1% of the collection is actually on view to the public.
Really?
99% is in store, but all of it is available for people who want to do serious research.
He's brought a copy of the only image in existence of the flame-throwing boat. The drawing is from the 12th century, almost 600 years after they first launched it on the Arab Armada besieging their city. David explains that before the flame-throwing boat, all naval warfare was a hands-on affair.
Their technique was to get your ship alongside, board. In other words, you turn a naval battle into a land battle.
And this is the sort of weaponry we're talking about here, isn't it? Conventional hand-to-hand.
Eye-to-eye stuff. Very, very personal. And that, of course, is the traditional way of fighting back as far as history went.
A bit of a shock when out comes a fireboat.
This is the intellectual, engineering, technological leap to a fire siphon, a flamethrower. It meant that the enemy ship can't come right close to you without the danger of it bursting into flames. This is one of those few occasions when a weapon really did tip a battle, which tipped a siege, which tipped the course of history.
Time to see what the team have been up to.
How's weaponry going? This is the pump.
That's a pump body.
Explain your pump to me, Jamie.
Well, you know, there was 2 choices. There was either piston pump or rotary pump. We decided to go for the rotary pump.
We decided.
You've rolled with it, but it'll be cool.
Claire?
I trust Jamie's judgment.
Yeah, okay.
kind of worrying.
So catch Jamie. Catch Jamie. This is looking very sort of,
Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon's. It's looking very Flash Gordon. Who's going to get to fire this? It's a flamethrower.
I think we're all going to want to have a go on that.
We're all going to
aren't
want
we?
to have a go, I don't know.
Best crack on.
Rightio.
Day one's cracking.
Keeping the team on track and helping me judge their build is engineering guru Leo Tocino, aka Todd.
So this is your oil reservoir?
Yeah.
Ah, right. So why tall and thin as opposed to short and fat?
Basically, if it slops about, there's a further area.
He's forgotten more about engineering
Okay, coming back to what
than
they're actually
most of us will
building now.
ever know.
The boat that they're building. I quite like the simplicity of the catamaran.
What they've done by designing that catamaran is made a really stable fighting platform. It's really quick to make. So other than the fact that it's somewhat inflammable, it is a brilliant concept for a boat to fight from. Really is.
they've got a choice between piston and rotary pumps. There's an awful lot of ways you can get a rotary pump wrong, isn't there?
Well, there is. I mean, a piston pump has got to be dead simple. If you imagine sticking a bicycle pump in a bucket of water, suck the water up, push the water out, everyone knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, if you think of something like a rotary pump, that's a much cleverer thing.
He's really nailed his colours to the mast in this one, hasn't he? He's the man that has to make it work.
His name is on the line for this one. Saying that, it's a really big ask.
They have to actually deliver on target something impressive, not a squirt of flame.
No.
You know, it's got to, I want to see woof.
I think they'll get it.
Yeah.
I think they'll get it, yeah.
It's interesting. I think that's the hard one. I think they're going to have problems destroying the ship.
Yeah.
But back in Build HQ, they don't seem worried at all.
Oh, look at that.
What do you reckon?
Oh, my word. Can I have a go?
Yeah, do it. It's not quite counterweighted yet, but it's getting there.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
I mean, until we actually connect a pump to this and squirt something out the end, I don't know if that much length is going to be beneficial, or we might...
but we can always cut it down, can't we?
make it longer.
Or make it longer. Yeah. How do you think it compares to, like, what we saw on that picture?
I think this kicks arse.
You do?
Yeah.
It's long.
It's a flamethrower gun from hell.
That's too tempting, right?
It's the second day of the build. The catamaran's hulls are in great shape, clad in wooden strips before being waterproofed with tree resin. The frame for Owen's gun is looking more space-age than Byzantine, and Claire's fuel container only needs to be tested for leaks. Jamie has moved on to the impeller, the spinning fan-like component at the heart of the pump. It transfers power from the motor, in this case the pedals, and forces the liquid out through the end of Owen's gun. It has many delicate moving parts that will come under extreme pressure, and it will therefore need to be very robust. First, he has to file off any imperfections to make it perfectly cylindrical, or it won't do its job.
For once, I'd like to play with this machine. I've got a real want to actually have something that I can know is going to work, and for that we need a pump.
Owen's getting impatient waiting. But things aren't going quite to plan. This is a precision job, and Jamie has shaved too much off. It's a disaster. His only option is to start again.
I ain't gonna be able to spin that impeller up today.
Right, well, if it's not going to happen today, I need to know what's happening, fundamentally. You know, yes or no.
Yes, it will happen. But the impeller won't be done today. Everything else will be done.
That's yes, definitely, without any problems, or no, in that sense, because otherwise we've got other choices we could use.
I'm starting to get sick and tired of the thing. In fact, I'm trying to spin things, you know, and it's just ain't got a tooling to do it.
No point blaming the tools now, Jamie. You knew what you had in the barn before you suggested the rotary pump. With no pump in sight, Owen decides to concentrate on the preheater. Heating the fuel as it passes through a copper coil will make the fuel easier to ignite.
I didn't think it would be as big as that.
Well, it needs to be that big to get the Flash Gordon looks.
Claire's ready to test her oil container. She needs to be 100% certain it's watertight.
This is a nightmare, this little hole. I think it's tiny. But if this was real oil, it would only take one spark and our whole boat would be on fire. I'm going to take it inside, re-weld that corner, then come back and try again until there aren't any holes in it.
Jamie's having no luck on impeller number 2. The weld hasn't taken, and the top plate has fallen off.
Where's the scrap bin? Enough, I'm going home.
The team call a crisis meeting.
I've taken it out of the lathe, and that's just fell off.
I think what's happened is he hasn't done enough of an angle, so the weld hasn't penetrated like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And so, in a way, Jamie's made a nice ashtray.
Day and a half in, ashtray, are we going to have a pump?
At this rate, no.
We're halfway through, and if we just calm down, approach it, you know, we could do it.
I'll give you a day. How about that?
Yeah, I was gonna
If we've
say
not got a rotary pump that's looking like it's going to work in a day, I'm going to make a simple piston
So we've basically got till lunchtime tomorrow to make this rotary pump.
Yep.
And if we can't, then we resort to plan B, which is piston pump. So should we get on with it then? Because time is pump money, so.
As the team struggle to fix the pump, I want to try and put the flame-throwing boat into some sort of perspective. I've come to see weapons expert Mike Loads, who can explain why it was such a game changer. Fire as a naval weapon in the 7th century must have been scary.
Fire as a weapon in any context, in any century, is very scary. And if you think about the fire that the Byzantines were using, this is a fire that sticks to ships, a fire that sticks to people. So if you've got it on your body and you are burning, and you dive into the sea thinking that it won't put you out, you're still burning in the sea. And imagine the screams of men burning alive would send panic and fear through the whole Arab fleet. And think of the temperatures this would reach. If this is a fire that is on you and cannot be put out, then you get hotter and hotter, and eventually your own body fats start to burn. You become your own fuel source.
You can imagine the first time this gets used, people must have been petrified.
Well, they really must, because to see it for the first time, they don't know how it's done. All they see is this sea serpent, a dragon, spitting flames. It plays to their supernatural superstitions and their deepest fears of the sea gods coming to get them.
In the workshop, Claire and Jamie seem to be finally making some progress with impeller number 3.
Ready to go up?
That bit is as well.
All right, let's give it a go.
Claire's taken over the welding. She files down the edges to make a groove for the weld to fix to. She needs to be sure that the 2 sections sit perfectly true, or the pump won't work. It's a precision piece of engineering, and something normally done by machine.
Nice.
Matt and Chris have started the second hull. Owen's laid copper pipe the length of the frame, which will carry the fuel from Claire's container to the nozzle. The Byzantines were seasoned coppersmiths. They would wrap flat sheets of copper around a mold and then solder the joint to make a pipe. But unlike modern copper pipes, these would have been structurally weak under pressure. The only thing missing now is Jamie's pump.
Claire, your weld didn't penetrate.
Did it not? I was uncertain of that last one. Oh, that's good then. Which one was that one?
That was the first one.
God, and that was really full on.
I just picked it up and it fell off.
Jamie, I'm not happy, it's not funny, we need to get this sorted.
I'm beginning to think they might have overstretched themselves this time. The catamaran is in pieces, the gun's untested, and there's still no sign of a pump. It's going to be a busy last day. The pressure's on. The team are manic, trying to recreate and improve on one of early civilization's deadliest weapons, the Byzantine flame-throwing fireboat. A terrifying sight. It spewed roaring flames onto the enemy vessels, setting them on fire and sending them to the bottom of the sea. Our team's fireboat will be challenged to beat the original in a series of tests, but they've only got 1 day left and there's still a lot to do. Claire and Jamie have been working hard all morning to try and save their rotary pump, or the team will have to go with Plan B, a simple piston pump. The advantage of a rotary pump is that it will provide a constant stream of fire, a huge improvement on the ancestors. Jamie is finishing the pump body, whilst Claire attaches the inner vanes and the shaft that will rotate the impeller.
This pump body almost finished. Put them in, skim it up, try it, done.
Finally, it looks like they're winning. The pump is almost finished. Claire's attention to detail and precision cutting seems to have made the difference in this difficult section of the build.
6 mil. On the 6 mil.
You are number 1.
How good is that?
Owen's gun looks menacing enough, but without a pump, it's basically a big stick at the end of a pedalo. And Chris and Matt's stunning hulls are almost complete. I've allowed them to use modern tools, but only the materials the ancestors had access to. The one thing we're waiting for now is the pump. Jamie?
Bugger!
Whilst Jamie tried to trim the impeller, he cut too much off and it split in two.
What happened? What happened?
It split where the metal was originally joined there.
This is bad.
I don't really want to talk about it. I don't really want to do anything. I just want to throw it in the skip and walk away from it.
Hi, guys.
The team takes stock and look at their options.
Our pump is no more right now. It's probably another half an hour on it.
Are we just chasing our tails with this rotary pump?
Nothing takes half an hour.
I know, but like we said by lunchtime, what time is it now?
Just after 12.
12:15.
Right, well, give us to 1 o'clock. If we can save it. If we can't, then let's say goodbye.
I personally think it's a bit sketchy, but you're right. If it was my job and I'd broken something and I just wanted 3/4 an hour to prove myself,
Yeah.
I'd be upset if people didn't give me it.
If you're going to do it, you've got to be 100% or nothing on this.
Yeah, that's fair play.
Because anything you do now is eating into our plan B.
Yep.
If you do it and it works, that's one thing, but if you do it and it doesn't, then we could be doing something else.
No, so we've got 45 minutes.
You've now got 43.
Now we've got
Right,
43.
so let's get on with it.
Let's get on.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Claire starts cleaning up the impeller for attempt number 4.
45 minutes salvage my reputation. Better work bloody hard, really, shouldn't I?
Yeah, I feel a bit sorry for Jamie. I've been there before. You just want to crawl into a little ball and you can't because you've got 14 members looking at you.
Personally, I'm really determined. They gave us till lunchtime. I'm going to give it all I can until lunchtime, and if not, we'll go with plan B.
I can do it, but it's a plan B. It is probably not going to be as good as my idea of what a rotary pump should have done.
Claire's trying to weld the impeller back together. Even if they manage to save the pump, they haven't yet got anything to shoot out of it. The Byzantine formula disappeared over 1,000 years ago, but Matt and Owen are determined to make a version of the mystery fuel.
That's really light.
It's very light. So
The ancestors used crude oil as its base, but they need to find a thickening agent to give it that sticky napalm quality.
We're looking for an element we can mix of our crude, because something that will be sticky and something that we can make liquid enough to fire for a...
Yeah, we really want this stuff to stick. Melted pitch, very sticky. Melted rosin, very nasty stuff.
Rosin is a solid form of pine resin, and pitch was used by the Byzantines on their boats. Both would have been easily accessible to the ancestors.
I'd be tempted to try and mix them both with a bit of crude oil and see what we get.
Okay, there's your light crude.
Let's not go...
Not too crazy.
So that's crude with a bit of pine resin on there. And a little bit. Again.
This is our pitch we're putting in now.
It's sort of 60, 80 centigrade.
Let's have a burn test. Let's have a go.
I think we need more fire.
Yeah, it's not aggressive enough, is it?
With that in there.
Matt pours in some turpentine, distilled resin, to give it a little more bite.
Stand by.
It's burning better, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, that's looking pretty evil.
That's burning really well.
It's soaked right into that.
I like it. So let's test it on water, shall we?
So this is our mix. And just looking for a nice slick of that.
Okay, there's our flame.
Run off our boat.
This is venturing towards the enemy ships.
And we've got water on fire.
Fantastic.
I mean, I play a fire that it really scares me.
Look how nasty that is. That's horrible.
It's getting worse, isn't
and
it?
it's making a noise as well. I mean, the roar, imagine the roar of the sea. It's Armageddon.
That's a proper scary weapon, isn't it? We've got to be really, really careful that we do not get that stuff on us.
No.
They're now pretty close to making a version of the secret formula. But unfortunately for the Byzantines, once their oil fields had been overrun, they no longer had access to the fuel, and so the flamethrower disappeared. But it wasn't the end of fire as a weapon, as Mike Loads demonstrates.
Okay, if you would like to light my fuse.
There you go. Oh, good flames.
Stand back. Here we go. 2, 3. Look at that.
That is devastating.
Stuck to the wall. It's burning and crackling. That could be the hull of a ship.
The grenades survived through the centuries, but not the flamethrower.
Yeah, there's always grenades, always fire pots of some sort being thrown, but not the flamethrower until the Germans reintroduced it in the First World War.
That's a 1,000-year gap, but then for the 20th century, flamethrowers were devastating.
It was used in the jungles of Southeast Asia in the Second World War, and of course it was used in Vietnam to devastating effect. They had boats going up the rivers in Vietnam with flamethrowers at the front. It's a remarkable leap through history. And of course, after Vietnam, by the 70s, the United Nations banned them. And thank goodness they are no longer with us in war, because it is a most terrible weapon.
Back at the barn, Matt and Chris have finally made a start on the boat's platform. They're screwing beams together that will be covered with decking. The rotary pump's 45 minutes are almost up, and Claire has managed to weld the broken impeller back together. But she spotted a problem.
Yeah, you can see already that it's way off.
The rotating shaft that transfers power to the pump is off-center. It needs to be dead straight for the pump to work. They're getting desperate now. They decide on straightening it in the lathe by shaving down the edges. But it's wobbling so much, it would be dangerous to attempt. Even after a little precision engineering, it's too risky.
That's it on that, personally.
So you want another pump, yeah?
Yeah, we want a piston pump now.
Okay.
I hate being beaten like that.
Sometimes you just got to accept your beating.
I'm accepting it. I'm accepting it.
Yeah, I suppose I like to say keep it simple, stupid, but I suppose I didn't really take my own advice there, did I?
Day 3, we haven't got a pump, so we now have another problem to solve. And the problem we have now is that we've got half a day to make a pump instead of 3 days to make a pump. I wanted to play with this thing before the end of day 3. And now we're in a situation where we're lastminute.com again.
A frustrated Owen gets to work on the piston pump. It won't be as good as the rotary, but it's the only option they've got left. This could seriously jeopardize their chances of beating the ancestors. But swapping Jamie's rotary pump for Owen's piston pump is not necessarily a disaster. A piston is highly efficient and works on a much simpler principle. When the piston is pulled back, it will suck fuel in from Claire's container through a one-way valve. The downward stroke will then expel the liquid through a different valve and hopefully out of the gun. The piston pump can squirt of fuel, but without the ancestor's pressure vessel, it's much safer.
More than halfway through day 3, lots to do.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy in there. You've got a messed up pump, so there's nothing to pump it with. There's no plumbing to get the oil from A to B. There's no paddles to paddle.
And then we've got a platform to actually stand on.
No.
Let's start with the actual hulls. I've always liked the design, but they're still a long way off finishing. Matt's got his work cut out.
The thing about those hulls is they're a stroke of genius. They are quick and easy, using very, very little material. So, brilliant concept. But
yeah, there's a big but coming there, wasn't there?
There is a huge but. And that is that they're waterproofing it, they're laminating it with pine resin.
And they're using that in their fuel as well.
And they're using that in their fuel. So we know that it burns really well. We know that it's sticky. We know all of those tests from yesterday. And a major part of their fire ingredient is also their structural ingredient for their boat.
Jamie wanted to make a rotary pump. Surely there was some really good logic there, but they couldn't make it.
Because the rotary pump now is gone, the piston pump that they've now settled on, they're going to do with a pull bar. It's a very strong motion, that rowing machine motion of using your back and your legs. They've made the right choice. It's the right choice they should have made 2 days ago.
Do you think they can beat the ancestors in less than half a day?
Seriously, very, very touch and go. I'm settling on the no at the moment for that. Big trouble.
Hi team, how are we doing?
You're all right, mate.
Oh, and Claire, time's cracking on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Day 3 pressure, where do we stand?
Hulls are outside. Their resin is set, ready to rock and roll. Just getting a deck
2
down
hulls.
this. Yep.
2 and weaponry.
We may have a pump. We're getting very close to it, finally, I guess. And I've got a very pretty useless bit of copper piping over there as a gun.
Hold on, the clock's ticking, an hour to push, yeah? And you haven't got a boat that looks amazing. You've got 2 lovely hulls, yeah? This sitting here with 1 wheel, 1 paddle wheel.
Looks good though.
Yeah, the other one's there though.
I've got to tell you, at this late stage, you know, it looks least like the weapon you were aiming for.
I'm not arguing with you.
You're not arguing
at all. I think you're right. We've messed a lot up and we are not ahead of the game and we're chasing our own tails. We've got to put the fire out that we start before we can light a real one.
I won't hold you any longer. Because obviously you should be working.
Taking a lot of air in.
Finally, a pump that can pump. Amazing. A few leaks though. The last thing the team need is fuel sloshing all over the boat. Any holes need to be welded shut. The 21st century replacement for the Byzantine slave oarsmen, the pedals are welded into place. It'll be interesting to see how easily they turn once those huge paddles are in the water.
Oh, that's interesting. Look, you can see the drops. It's leaking through
here.
Little jobs just come back and get you, don't they? Every time.
They so do.
The platform is so big, the team have had to drag in some extra help to move it outside for the final assembly. All the pieces are finally coming together, like a big Airfix model, but an Airfix model that shoots fire. Last but by no means least, Owen's huge gun is mounted in pride of place at the front. It's finally starting to look like the real deal.
Fearsome weapon of war, tick.
Ridiculous weapon of war. Tick.
Yeah, the confusion will cause fear in our enemies.
It will, they'll go.
Unless we set fire to stuff.
Yeah.
It's a fail. Crunch time tomorrow.
But I'd stop yapping if I were you. Most of this still needs to be screwed, welded, or nailed. They've got a long night in front of them before they can take on the ancestors. Test day has arrived for our weary team. After 3 days of building and a manic all-nighter, is their version of the Byzantine flame-throwing boat ready for action?
When we saw those blueprints, it just looked so unbelievably dangerous. Boiling vat of pressurised oil, and we've taken that and just wiped it off. We're doing the same job, but we're doing it in a very different way.
I'm more excited than scared, to tell you the truth. We've got fire extinguishers and stuff, so if it all does get a bit fraught, we can try and put the fire out, but if that's me, if I see a fire break out, I'm jumping off the side and I'm swimming.
It doesn't matter how you look at this, it is actually like a pedalo with a flamethrower.
Yeah.
It's a bit surreal.
The team haven't had a chance to test their flame-throwing boat. They don't even know if it'll float.
Go on. All right, there we go.
So, they have a flame-throwing boat. But can it compete with the original? To judge the team's weapon, I've set them 3 critical tests.
Okay.
Test 1, range. The Byzantine flame-throwing boat carried a high-pressure vat of boiling oil. Historians estimate that when unleashed, it blasted sticky fire onto the enemy from up to 7 meters. To test its range, I've placed floating targets, hay bales, out in the lake at 5, 10 and 15 meters. To beat the ancestors, they will need to hit the second bale. They can't cross the firing line, which is marked by red buoys.
Are you ready?
Yes.
To the firing point.
Okay. Okay, here we go, fellas. Ready?
This is a
Give us a
worrying
kick away at
time.
the front, Nick.
The team were about to blast
All
fire
ahead.
from a wooden boat full of inflammable
Keep it
fuel.
into the bank, so.
If there's a leak
You
from
don't
the
want to
fuel
be drifting
container,
too far
the
across,
whole
okay.
thing could go up in
No,
flames.
nice and gentle. No extreme.
Owen's wearing fireproof
Okay.
clothing, and there are flags all around the pedalo to show the wind direction.
Man, your firing position, mate.
Now one of them's going to have to stop there to stop pumping.
Okay.
Claire's taking a
Slightly
position near
reverse.
the
If we can
fire
get it slightly
extinguisher.
right. Slightly reverse. You happy, Owen?
Yeah, try it.
Okay.
Valves open.
Fuel on. Go for it, Jamie.
Time to find out if the substitute pump works.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good shot.
Oh, yeah. Let's go forward.
Forwards, Matt.
They're not even close to the line, and they're almost reaching the first target.
Oh, lift it up, Owen.
Come on, Owen.
Higher.
Okay. Chris, more you. Chris, more you, Chris.
Come on, that's amazing. Can you imagine that coming towards
But listen to it, yes.
That's the first one.
Listen to it as well,
my
though.
goodness. Would that scare you or what?
That first target's only at 5 meters though, well within range of the ancestors. If they get to the second target, they'll have beaten the ancestors. If they get to the third, they'll have obliterated them.
We might be screwed on the distance here.
And forward.
It's actually such a horrific weapon.
Yeah.
One more. She's lit. Okay.
Yes! So that's 10 meters, and the ancestor was 7, so that's a victory.
Yeah.
Well done, Jamie. Do you want me
Now
back
they've still
in
got,
here?
they've got the long one to do. Do you reckon they'll get that one?
Okay, Jamie, unleash hell. Go, Jamie.
Ready?
Come on, we're only a metre away.
A bit, Owen.
Reverse on you.
Oh, no, so close.
Try more, we've got more fuel.
But the wind's beginning to change. This will make it harder to hit the target, and it will also increase the chance of blowback onto the boat.
let the wind help you, don't you?
That last target seems just out of reach. I can't help but wonder if Jamie had managed to build his rotary pump, whether it would have got the flames to 15 metres.
I know Jamie really wanted to get the pump that had a constant stream. What a pity, eh? Can you imagine just delivering that firepower continuously?
They're out of fuel.
They're out of fuel. They're out of fuel.
They're out of fuel.
You were there, but the wind was taking
Yeah,
it.
we're just blowing it out.
And let's not mess around here. 10 metres beats the ancestors.
And it does. And they were that far short of the far one, you know, so that's actually about 13, 14.
Okay, let's go back.
Time for the next test, maneuverability. Back in 678 AD, the Byzantines' flame-throwing boats worked so well as agile, destructive weapons, they were able to hunt down and repel the entire enemy armada besieging Constantinople. To find out how the team's machine compares, I've placed hostile shipping in the river for them to hunt. Hostile shipping, they'll have to negotiate a course of buoys to reach.
Go!
The Byzantines' flame-throwing boat would have needed highly skilled oarsmen.
They're going to clip it, aren't they?
The team are attempting to improve on that with one that can be driven by utter novices. Hopefully.
Just, they're through.
Their manoeuvrability is great.
Reverse on yours.
Oh, he's doing a bit of the tank steering now, and that's a good turn.
Okay,
It
nicely
can actually
round.
turn on its own axis.
Look at that, turning on a dime.
Much like
Yeah,
a
I know,
tank,
with the wind wheel.
one paddle can go forward
Round
and
it,
the other
boy, reverse
backwards,
on your side.
allowing it to turn instantaneously. Much quicker than the Byzantines ever could.
Okay, all ahead.
I don't think they've got much better than that, you know, for manoeuvrability.
Time for the final test, my personal favourite.
Okay, enemy.
Power.
Enemy inside.
Okay, serious now.
Here we go.
We're about to go.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's burn this boat.
Unleash fury.
So far, they've only burnt hay
Forwards
bales.
a bit,
The
Matt.
whole ship is a completely different
Carry on,
ballgame.
Jamie.
About to go.
Again, they're not even at the
Forward.
With
Reverse
that
on you.
massive
Always go
flame,
reverse on
they
you.
can
Round
stand
it
off and
forwards.
torch the enemy
We don't
with
drift
no
in.
fear of being boarded.
Look at the sail. Instant gone. So, I mean, already that boat can't sail now.
No, they've actually again incapacitated it.
Come on.
Come on, really give it some.
To be on the receiving end of that would be so horrific.
Oh yeah, burn!
Look at it stick.
That is carnage.
It is a thing of beauty, Dick. In an unpleasant way.
Oh yeah, well, you know, it's horrific. That is a very terrible weapon.
That flame is seriously hot. When only starts to break up at 300 degrees C.
I think, Dick, that boat is gone.
If you want to know something, you wouldn't be there, would you?
No. Oh, ho, ho!
Well done, team! Okay, victory salute. Well done. That is a terrifying thing.
That's it, you're done. Nice one, guys. That's amazing. Thank you.
If the Byzantines had gone for the team's design, they could have built an entire flotilla in days, manned them with untrained amateurs, and wreaked even more havoc on their enemies.
Maneuverability. From then, round the S-bends, phenomenal. Got to the firing point here. What do we think of our destruction?
Total.
Total destruction.
Okay, so maneuverability, range, destruction. Team, you've beaten the ancestors. Amazing job.
Good one.
Amazing.
Did you see that? Did you see that? That was amazing. That was absolutely brilliant.
I think we've done really well. I'm really pleased with everyone, and we've really worked well as a team.
We had a hard build on this one. We almost dropped the ball with it, but managed to pick it back up and run with it and win.
It worked really well. I mean, probably better than we'd anticipated. So yeah, really stoked.
I've got no respect for the ancestors whatsoever. I thought they were the most stupid, saft people ever to get on a boat, especially with that lot boiling and bubbling as it was. We were a lot safer than what they were, and I think if them old boys could see what we'd done today, I think they would have been blown away, really, and they would have thought that is such a good idea. I think they would have made them all that way.
Next time, a machine that changed Britain's skyline.
Why do you make stuff like this? Why would you want to? Because you're driven to it.
The Gothic Mega Crane.
It's just massive. There's nothing about this that can lift yourself.
It's a build that will put the team under enormous strain.
We have 3 days to make something that would normally take 2 or 3 weeks.
No, don't do it like that. Front and floor, it's got to be quick, bish, bash, bosh.
Day 3 is going to be absolute hell.
If you want.